All right, Tucker, we are live here for our first ever Lineup Legends waiver show. What's going on this morning?
That's right, we are. I'm super excited for this. We talked a little bit about the guys yesterday that we were kind of thinking about picking up on waivers, but I'm excited to get down into the nitty gritty, talk about how much fab we might be spending on some of these players.
Let's go, man. I'm hype, and I think for this, I know a lot of shows will do kind of a exhaustive list. I think we should just talk about the guys we're really excited about, and then everyone else can kind of take a look at what their team needs are and who else might be available that, kind of are those deeper ads that maybe we don't have time to touch on today. But really, I want us to get through to anyone who might be watching this what we're really excited about on waivers, like that handful of guys that we're going all in for. All right, does that sound good?
Sounds great to me. Let's do it.
All right. I say we just kind of go in order: quarterbacks, running backs, receivers, tight ends. Let's go ahead and kick it off with running back, or sorry, quarterbacks. Um, I I really think if we're talking about 50% rostered on Yahoo or less, I think there's just a few options here. What are you seeing at quarterback, Tuck?
Yeah. So definitely get some good like streamers next week. I
Yeah.
think the biggest one for me is going to be Andy Dalton. With Dak going down for the rest of the season, Andy Dalton could theoretically be an every week play. I mean, don't know that for sure. We're going to have to see him obviously in next week, but I think he's a great pickup if he happens to have the same passing volume as Dak. I mean, yeah, that's a win. That's a win if you can get him.
So, what's your expectation for him rest of the season? Are you picking him up as a stash and C, or do you think that he's kind of going to be like a 75% DAC QB1 starter the rest of the way?
I think the general take is that Andy Dalton is the best backup in the NFL right now. I tend to agree on that. I mean, I didn't think he was necessarily bad with the Bengals. I can't think of a better one. Let's put it that way. But
I'm trying to rack my mind right now. I got nothing.
and with those receiving options, I don't see how he. I mean, he won't be Dak obviously because that's. I mean, Dak's a great player, and it's just hard to keep up with that. But he'll be some version of Dak. Maybe less rushing upside than Dak, and Dak gets a lot of rushing touchdowns that Andy Dalton's just not going to be able to get. But with receivers like that, I mean, I think he's a QB1 the rest of the season. I'd be hard pressed to see why not.
Yeah, I think that's fair with arguably the best receiving core in football and an offense that has had to kind of carry that team with a poor defense. I think Dalton could just kind of slide in as a Dak Prescott light, and I definitely think he's my top quarterback ad just because he's got value past streaming this week. He's got season-long value in what should be a prolific offense, even without Dak Prescott.
Exactly. Other quarterback options for next week specifically, and possibly for a little while, is Ryan Fitzpatrick. He's they're playing the Jets next week, but even in like more difficult matchups, he's been decent. I mean, he did well against the 49ers last week, and who knows, he could keep this thing up. But as we know with Ryan Fitzpatrick, probably not. At some point he probably throws for like 100 yards and 3 interceptions, but play him until he does.
Yep. I mean, he's eclipsed 20 fantasy points in all games but one this year so far, and that was against New England. So coming off a 27-point fantasy game, I think really you can just kind of ride with Fitzpatrick in fantasy until Tua inevitably comes in. But who knows when that's going to happen? I think they're going to try and delay it as much as possible with that hip injury. They just want to give him as much time as possible to get fully healthy and make sure it's nice and strong. But I mean, right now Fitzpatrick's giving them every reason to just keep him in as the starting quarterback. I mean, he's looked fantastic, and I think
just blew away the Super Bowl runner-up. I mean, that's
yeah. Who saw that coming? I did not see that coming.
Not at all.
Yeah, the Dolphins this year, I think are, I think they're better than a lot of people expected. And I don't know that there's going to be a situation all too soon where Fitzpatrick, makes it necessary for Tua to be plugged in.
Right. Agreed. So we got Andy Dalton, Fitzpatrick. Any more?
Yeah. One more I will say. Nope, that's it. That's all I had. I was gonna mention Derek Carr, but I believe he's over 50% rostered.
I think he might be on bye next week as well.
That also might have been what it was. So yeah, Fitzpatrick, Andy Dalton. There's nothing particularly sexy there. I wish Justin Herbert was under 50% roster because I would love to talk about him. But if he's out there, go get him. But yeah, I think Dalton and Fitzpatrick are the main guys we want to talk about at quarterback.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
All right, we touched a little bit on him yesterday. Let's talk about Alexander Mattison. The latest out of Minnesota is that Dalvin Cook is believed to have avoided any sort of long-term injury. Coach Zimmer said that they're going to see how he looks at practice this week. So technically the window is open for him to return this week against Atlanta. However, they have a bye coming up next week. So whispers are saying that they're going to hold out Dalvin Cook unless he looks, perfectly healthy. They might as well give him an extra week of rest before, after their bye week, they have Green Bay in a divisional NFC North matchup. So my bet's on Dalvin Cook sitting this one out. How do you feel about Alexander Mattison, and what's your view on him long term?
So Alexander Mattison is a great back. If he only gets 1 week, obviously it's not worth a lot of fab. I mean, if you really need to plug and play, say if you have a running back on bye this week, Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs. I'm thinking about Jackson. I'm thinking about Justin Jackson already, man. I'm about to transition there. All right. But I mean, if Josh Jacobs, for instance, is in your lineup and he's got a bye this week, I think you can spend a little bit more on Alexander Mattison just to have that plug and play this week because he's gonna do great, especially against Atlanta. But again, he's only worth it for 1 week, so you don't want to go all in with your fab, all in with your waivers on him. I do like Justin Jackson this week. He might actually be higher for me than Alexander Madison. In terms of waiver priority, right? Yeah, so he got
all right. In terms of waiver priority, long term, that's fair.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a chance it might not happen, but there's a chance that Eckler's out for a season. I mean, it's a big hamstring injury. It's putting him out a couple of weeks. He's going to take some time coming back, and when he comes back, those are really easy to re-aggravate. So Justin Jackson could be a huge value. He was way better than Josh Kelly last night, and I mean, I don't know. It's a telling sign for me. I see Josh Kelly losing touches to Justin Jackson, and I like that opportunity.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I think if you're in a position where, you need to win this week, maybe you're below 500 on the year, you're trying to stack wins just to get a shot at the playoffs. I think maybe spend up on Alexander Mattison because he's going to be low-end RB1, high-end RB2 against Minnesota against Atlanta in a great matchup. So I think if you need wins now, go get Alexander Mattison. You can feel confident in him as a strong play this week. Justin Jackson, maybe you're kind of looking solid so far through 5 weeks, and you want a guy that has that season-long value, or at least until Eckler comes back, which, like you said, is going to be a while. So I think this is the perfect example of this one. Just depends on where you're at in the season, but they're both such good pickups that I think those two would be the top options at running back, if you're needing help there.
Yeah, definitely. So Justin Jackson also has a bye week 6. So if you're picking him up, you're not getting him to play immediately. But Alexander Mattison would be able to play week 6. If Dalvin Cook sits out, is going to dominate week 6 against the Falcons. So it's really about what you need. If you need that win week 6, Alexander Madison's your guy. If you need a guy to play a little bit more long term, I think Justin Jackson's your guy.
Okay, what do you say we do a little thought experiment here? In a vacuum, how much are you spending on Alexander Mattison? And maybe we should say it at the same time to see where we're going to say it.
I need a team description. What's our team looking like here? Are we running back needy?
All right, our team is 3-2. But we're short at running back. We're choosing between starting David Montgomery or potentially Alexander Mattison this week. How much are you spending on him?
And are we going to be running back needy rest of season? Like we need a guy, or it's more of like
we need a guy.
Okay.
We need a guy for this season. So let's do this. If you're, let's decide how much we would spend on Alexander Madison, and then how much we would spend on Justin Jackson. So RB needy team that's 3-2 on the year that could be starting Madison or David Montgomery this week, depending on if he picks up Madison.
All right, let's say we still got all our fab dollars. Unlikely scenario because we like to blow it week 1, week 2. But let's say we got all of our fab dollars here. So out of 100.
All right, I first we'll do Alexander Madison. We'll do like a 5-second countdown. I think I've got mine. Yeah, I think I got mine. We're 3-2. Yeah. Okay. All right. 3, 2, 1. $12.
18.
Okay.
All right.
We're in the same kind of range.
Yeah.
I think if you still have 100% of your fab, go 18. I mean, you shouldn't be sitting on it. But yeah, I think 12 to 20%. I mean, he's going to be putting up huge numbers. And in this situation, you would definitely want to play him over a guy like David Montgomery. I think Alexander Madison is a great talent, and I think he's going to ball out against Atlanta.
Yeah, I went a little bit high here just because 3-2, you don't want to sit in that like kind of in the middle place. If we can get a win this week, let's get a win this week. Let's get a 4-2, and you feel a lot more comfortable with that. I mean, every single win in a 15, 16, whatever, 16 game season, 15, I guess. No, 16 for fantasy. Sorry, 15 for an individual team. I'm a dummy. But every win counts, and you gotta get those wins where you can. And so I think 18 is probably where I'd go if I really want him.
Okay, Justin Jackson. Let's talk about fab for him. Same situation. How much are you spending? Let me think on it. You have 100% of your budget. Okay, I've got mine.
Yes, same.
3, 2, 1, $28.
23.
Okay. All right.
You said 28. You said 28. Yeah.
Yeah, I said 28.
All right, you went higher on that one. All right, so I get Madison, you get Jackson. We can trade. So
yeah. My justification for this is I think you carved out really good points in that Jackson seems to be performing over Kelly right now. And right now that's only a 2-man backfield until Eckler gets back. I like Jackson to kind of win out the bigger portion of that role. But even when Eckler comes back, I think there's a chance that Justin Jackson kind of takes that main down role over Josh Kelly. So I don't know. Running back is thin. I think you might as well spend up on a guy who has a big opportunity. And at this point in the season, there's not that many guys who can return season-long value that are going to be popping up. You'll see guys like Alexander Madison here and there that can be a plug-and-play injury replacement, but love taking chances on guys who can be, a season-long asset.
Right. Agreed. No comment there.
All right, Tucker, why don't you take us into the receivers? What are you seeing there on the waiver wire?
All right, so we talked about him a little bit yesterday, but Chase Claypool is definitely the number one for me. I don't think it's even close, really. I see a lot of guys underneath him who he's not going to repeat what he did. Could I see him getting more targets and being a consistent player in your lineup? Absolutely. And after that, it's not really ideal after that, I would say. You got, what is it? The best part of waking up is Fulgham in your cup, right? That's the I thought of that the other day. I was like, that's
shut it down. We're shutting it down. Before we talk about whatever that was, I need to hash it out with you about Claypool, because I was listening to our podcast that we recorded yesterday, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you said that you could see Claypool getting 7 or 8 catches a game for around 80 yards. Dude, that's wide receiver.
Dude, I'm not backing down from this. I'm not backing down from this.
So I'm serious. You're doubling down on Claypool getting 7 catches for 80 yards consistently on a weekly basis. Like that's where you see his performance will average out. 7 or 8 catches is what you said.
Go 5 to 7 catches, 60 to 80 yards a week.
Okay, so you're definitely making that the ceiling now, as opposed to kind of.
No, I think the ceiling is like 2 touchdowns, 10 catches. I mean,
so people should be expecting 5 catches for 60 yards a week
at the least.
Okay.
Yeah, at the
least.
Yeah.
And then at the highest, this crazy high touchdown performing game that we saw from him the other day. And then on a weekly basis, like if that's the floor, 5 catches, 60 yards, you think 6 for 80 is what he's going to get weekly?
Roughly thereabouts, yeah.
All right, I can't get behind that, and I'm chirping you here because I want to take it on before you come from my boy Deontay Johnson like that. Because look, Deontay Johnson, who Tomlin expects to, he's hopeful, quote, that Deontay Johnson will come back this week, and so am I. Please, gosh, Deontay Johnson, please come back. Chase Claypool is going to be eating into James Washington snaps, as I said on the last podcast we recorded. But I think he's going to be kind of a Mike Williams type. I think he's going to be the big play guy, a red zone threat. I think he's going to be a huge touchdown machine for Roethlisberger, but I don't think it's going to be with any consistency. I think he might have multi-touchdown games like we saw last time. But I think with Deontay Johnson in the lineup, he's still third in the pecking order behind Juju and Deontay. And then I think he's mixed in there with James Washington. I don't think they're just going to, throw him in front of James Washington completely. I think he's earned more looks for himself, but I think to be getting 7 or 8 catches, that means he's getting what, 9 or 10 targets a game. That would make him there's just no way that this one game has elevated him to that level. I just refuse to believe that. I think you're wrong. I'm calling you out, and I want to see what happens because you know dang well I'm screen recording this, and I'm going to clip this and send it to you on your iPhone next game when Chase Claypool inevitably has 3 catches for 41 yards, and you're salty. And so are our fans, 0 viewers right now, who watch this and spent 99% of their fab on him.
I cannot wait for you to be wrong. I don't know how to screen clip anything or video clip anything, but I'm going to figure out just so I can send this to you, okay? Just so I can show it in your face when I have Chase Claypool on my team. Okay, this guy got 4 touchdowns last week. He almost had 5. He almost had 5
He did.
Name a player that has had 5 touchdowns in recent memory. Name one.
Okay, all right, so we're giving him the 5th now. Yeah, okay, he had 4. That's sick. Do you remember? Yeah, okay. I'm not getting into this. Regardless to say, Claypool is a great pickup this week. He's personally the player I'm most excited about on the waiver wire this week. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think we should be expecting wide receiver 1 numbers. I think he's going to be a high-end wide receiver 3 that could play into wide receiver 2 numbers down the line as a rookie. But I don't think we should expect what we saw this week every week unless Deontay Johnson or Juju goes down with an injury. So I think that we can agree he's my top ad overall. I think he's who I'm most excited about wide receiver wise, and I would have no problem spending a big chunk of change on getting him because I think the arrow is pointing way up for Chase Claypool.
Right. Agreed there. All right. So you're on I wouldn't say wide receiver needy team because I don't think anyone's crazy wide receiver needy at this point in the season. There haven't been really any injuries to wide receivers. So there's really not a reason to be wide receiver needy. So you don't really need wide receivers, but this could be a crazy ad and could be better than the guy you have. So you have like a Robert Woods and Claypool ends up busting out, and Robert Woods hasn't been all that productive in terms of catches. So someone like that, you might want to add Claypool and play him over Robert Woods if he continues to get good down the stretch, So you have a team like that, $100 fab. How much you putting in on Chase Claypool?
All right, give me a sec. All right, I got it. Okay. All right, 3, 2, 1, 32 bucks.
Oh, we tied. Heyo.
All right, I guess we're seeing eye to eye then about him.
There we go.
I mean, my main hesitation is receiver seems pretty replaceable this year, but as a rookie, I like his potential to grow throughout the season. And, Deontay Johnson could be out, a period of time. So I think it's worth spending up a little bit. Let's get to moving on to your boy Fulgham. Tell me about him. I'm going to be real honest. I had no idea who he was coming into this game. I don't know if you had read anything about him, but as far as I knew, that receiving core was Greg Ward and nobody else. And I was staying far away. So when I checked the score app and saw a guy named T. Fulgham was loading up the stat sheet, I had no idea what was going on. And I'm just a little bit perplexed as to what happened on Sunday.
Yeah, I had no idea who he was. Not a clue. He had a touchdown the week before on 2 catches, so it wasn't anything to write home about. This game, he gets 13 targets, 10 receptions, 152 yards, and a touchdown. It's really enticing to see 13 targets. It's really easy to look at that and be like, this is a guy I want on my fantasy team. Obviously, I mean, 13 targets. Name another player who gets that. However, Deshaun Jackson, Alshon Jeffrey, those guys come back next week. So I don't think that's going to be a repeatable performance. I don't expect him to do it again. Has he earned a spot in the offense? Maybe. I really don't know. I really don't know.
I mean, honestly, I think for me, I'm completely out. I'm not even adding him for free. I get it. I get the hype, but Deshaun Jackson and Alshon Jeffrey, or at least Alshon, both are returning soon, if not week 6. Then you have Greg Ward. Dallas Goedert's eventually going to return. I don't see the potential here. I think this was more of a flash in the pan thing. I think you're chasing points. I think this is one of those classic chasing points from a wide receiver. If you want to add him just to see what happens, great, go ahead. But I think his value, maybe he has got one more week of value to him. At least fantasy wise, I don't see myself putting fab money on him because it seems like this was a sort of a flash in the pan situation.
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree. I think I'd be willing to add him for free just as a bench stash, just in case,
Sure.
he continues to do what he's doing. And maybe go up to like $2, $2 waiver dollars, I think is what I'd use, 2 fab. But I do think this is closer to, your classic Eddie Royal breakout game where he's just not going to do it again. I don't see this as repeatable. I could be wrong, these things can always bite you in the butt, but I really, with Alshon coming back, Deshaun coming back, I just don't think it's possible.
I'm with you there. And without talking about any of these guys in particular, I just want to run down the rest of our list. All of these guys, personally, I would be adding over Fulgham. Mike Williams, who's 40% rostered. Brandon Cooks, 44% rostered. Henry Ruggs, 44% rostered. Mecole Hardman, 40%. Preston Williams, 22%. Alshon Jeffrey, I would much rather have at 18%. And then Laviska Shenault, he's my second. Actually, I probably have him higher than Claypool, to be honest. I think he's got more of a role already. He had 7 catches this week for, I believe, like 76 yards. Chark just had an injury. I think he could be out a bit. Laviska Shenault, just real quick, Tucker, are you? Let's play bad or good. Let's throw it back. Bad or good, Laviska Shenault. 3, 2, 1. I'm saying good. Let's go. You weren't on the train. What changed, man?
As long as DJ Chark is injured, I'm in.
I mean, Chark went down with an ankle injury, and he didn't come back in the game. We'll see, but I think he's at least out this week.
Chark comes back next week, and I think I'm bad.
Really? I mean, he's produced even with Chark in the games. He's been basically, you can trust him for 10 PPR points a game minimum, and that's as a rookie in his first few games. Like, he's only carving out more of a role on a weekly basis. I don't see why. I
think a healthy Chark takes a lot of his targets. That's what I think. But we will see. Has he produced without Chark or with Chark there? I mean, like the entire game? I don't think so.
He has. Let me pull up the stats real quick for you here.
He has a little bit, not quite as much. Quite as much.
Okay, so yeah, I mean,
the past 2 games have been his best games, and Chark has been missing for the majority of both.
I mean, I know last week against Cincinnati, Chark played the whole game, and Shenault had 6 targets, and 5 catches for 86 yards. And on top of that, he had a carry for 5 yards. They're getting him involved, man. And that's startable. That's a flex low end wide receiver 2 week that you're getting from a rookie who's 4 or 5 games into his career. I think we're only going to see his role grow, and I'm all in on Laviska Shenault. I think he should already be rostered. That's why I'm kind of talking about Claypool over him. But given that he's only 34% rostered, I think there's a chance he might be available in your league.
Okay, yeah, that's my fault. I thought Chark didn't play week 4, but he didn't play week 3, and Laviska Shenault didn't do anything week 3, unfortunately. But I could be wrong. But I'm gonna for right now, I'm gonna say good while Chark's not in, bad if he's in.
Before we close this out, I just want to highlight this. Week 1, 4 targets. Week 2, 4 targets. Week 3, 6. Week 4, 6. Week 5, 8 targets. 8 targets. His role is growing. He's getting carries that can only add to his value. He's versatile. He's a Deebo Samuel type. I love him. Go at him. I'd be blowing fab on him. Tuck. Let's move on.
All right. think all
Real
we got
quick,
left is tight ends. Not a
we can
lot
pretty much
there.
skip this. There's just nothing at tight end I like. What about you?
Right. Yeah, not really anything. I don't think there's anyone I'd be picking up that shouldn't already be rostered. So
I mean, Jimmy Graham, 40% rostered. You can add him. I think he's obviously the best option of the bunch, but gosh, I don't feel good about it.
you got to be real
I don't
desperate.
feel good about it. You got
You
to
got to
be
be
real
real
desperate.
desperate.
I mean, to be fair, I think everyone is right now. I think the rest are just kind of guys to keep an eye on. Trey Burton in Indianapolis is starting to get looks now that he's back. Irv Smith had his biggest game of the season last week against the Seattle Seahawks.
There you
And
go.
then Cameron Brate, another guy to keep an eye on. OJ Howard's out for the season. Maybe he gets more looks from Tom Brady. None of these guys I'm spending money on. Maybe a few bucks on Graham if you're desperate. But, Irv Smith, I believe, has a bye next week. I think these are guys you just hold on to or just keep an eye on and be ready to pick them up if they do pop off. But tight end's a wasteland. Seems like every year it seems like the waiver wire is just completely empty with regards to tight end talent.
Right. Agreed.
Well, cool. I think that wraps it up. In summary, I'll say my parting words are Alexander Madison. Grab him if you need. If you really need to win this week, he's going to be kind of a 1 week guy, unless you have Dalvin Cook too. In which case, I'd spend up. Justin Jackson, a great long season stash, who you can probably play pretty soon, given he's already carving out a really solid role there. Chase Claypool, love him. Tucker loves him. Laviska Shenault, you need to get him. Nothing at tight end. And if you need to do a season-long play at quarterback, grab Andy Dalton. And Fitzpatrick has definitely a few good weeks left in him. So, Tucker, give us your final thoughts before we wrap this up.
Exactly what you said. I think all those are pretty decent ads. Keenan Allen went down to injury last night. I don't think it's going to be for much. I doubt it's even another game. But if it is, Mike Williams is a great ad.
Yep.
And then I think. Who's it? Chargers play the Jets, so Chargers DST if you really need something there. Other than that, yeah, got it all set.
Nice. Well, thanks for tuning in. Any of you who might be there, there's zero, but in the future,
maybe one day.
Yeah. Tuck, this was fun. I'm a little salty that we tied on Claypool when you're talking him up as a wide receiver 1, but let it be known that
35, but the receiver position is deep. It's deep.
That's true. All right. Well, Tuck, I will see you later this week for our Week 6 preview. Get hype, man.
Sounds great. I look forward